Hey everybody, and welcome back to Split Couch Games. I'm Scott,
And I'm Ben.
and this is Couchcast number 59. Just to start things off, this is going to be our last podcast of the year because I'm sick, so we're not going to be able to record two today, and I'm going to be traveling the next time we have time to record. So we're just going to be taking the week of Christmas off of podcasting. Just a heads up to you guys there.
Yep.
But then we'll be back next year. So we thought this would be the perfect time to talk about what we're excited for in 2018, because that's coming up. This year went by really fast.
So to reiterate, Scott's not feeling well. So yeah, you try and bring the energy a little more. You
Sorry.
got this. You got this.
The energy's here. The energy's here. It wasn't bad. Was it that bad?
It
Probably was that bad. I think the energy was there, but it was very like monotonous energy.
Sure. Why not? Anyways.
Anyway, I'm here. I'm alive.
Me personally, one of the things I'm most excited for, and this has like a huge stipulation on it, is Anthem. Just because what they showed off at last E3 was pretty amazing looking.
Yeah, it was.
But
it's EA doing a games of service kind of game, most likely.
Exactly. With EA's history, period, but especially its recent history, I'm definitely very nervous about how that game is going to turn out, and I don't really have a whole lot of faith in it at this point, and I feel like that's kind of how most people feel.
Yeah.
Going beyond that, the gameplay demonstration was very reminiscent of The Division.
I was just going to say, I was literally going to say, like, you are not going to convince me to pre-order this game like you did The Division.
Well, see, but yes, I agree. I'm probably not even going to do that myself. But to my credit, when it comes to The Division, I feel like the core gameplay loop that we were exposed to is very, very solid, and was. I don't know if it is anymore. Haven't played it, and God only knows how
as
long.
always, this is like launch Division. We know that they made improvements to everything and all that.
But when it came out, like, that core gameplay loop was still there, but the depth of everything else wasn't. And I feel like that's kind of what killed The Division for us. I want to say that I have more faith in Anthem based off of what they showed, that the depth would be there. You know, but I honestly don't know. Like, we literally know nothing in terms of story. We don't know anything in terms of, like, what's actually a combatant versus what's not. Because there were plenty of different, like, animals and creatures and everything that were shown off during the gameplay demo. But you can't help but wonder, like, how much of that am I actually going to see? And then...
Or how often you're going to see it. Are you going to see it like 20 million times?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, even going further than that, there is also the question of when it comes to, you know, like the explorable environments, you know, like how they dove underwater and then there was like that cave and they're like, you know, we're not going to mess with that or whatever. And then they moved on. How much of that is just simply like, you know, you dive underwater to get like the exploration bonus or whatever, and then that's it. Like, it's just like a small puddle of water basically that has some XP in it, or it's a quote unquote cave, but it's only like one room and a hallway or something.
I mean, I think that would be really cool if there was like actual underwater combat.
Oh, totally.
Obviously.
I think everyone would love that.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of whether or not that happens.
I have a feeling that, like, that game is going to be a whole lot of promising stuff, and then like, but it just doesn't quite reach that, because I feel like that's what a lot of those games turn out to be. Like, it's
Yeah.
like everything is like super awesome when you first play it. The first time you see it, it's super awesome, but then it just becomes
Yeah.
either just like just an iteration upon your first experience, and you're like, this isn't as cool the second time. Which is fair. I mean, with like large games like that, you can't, carefully craft every single environment to
Yeah.
exact specifications. Like, you kind of have to do some broad strokes and then come in and fine tune. But
Yeah. The one way I think they could potentially win out is if the world was less open than what they make it out to be. And that like each experience was a little more like fine crafted and linear with maybe some branching paths here and there. But if it was a little more linear, and we weren't talking about like, massive public instances where you can have, like 20, 30 people all in the same area. Because this is the same team that made Mass Effect 1 and 2, or 1, 2, and 3, I think. I could see maybe them being able to pull out some magic, but I think the main thing that is going to make it or break it for a lot of people is the progression system.
yeah,
Because I feel like with all of these types of games, like, that is kind of like the main point. That, it can't be too easy, but it can't be too hard, because, if it's too hard, then you lose a lot of your casual base early on, but if it's too easy, then you lose your hardcore base early on, and, it's definitely a fine balancing act. But anyways, enough about that.
Unless
Unless you had something more.
No, that pretty much sums it up. Is I think that, like, I'm excited for what it could be. Who knows what it will actually be?
Yeah, we shall see.
Yeah. For me, actually, like, I'm honestly like more excited about like PlayStation games than I am about anything else.
And you don't even have a PlayStation.
Yeah. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, Last of Us 2. That looks really good. First one was really good. And Detroit Become Human, which I don't know if we're allowed to say without demonetizing our video.
Yeah, because the last one got demonetized, and it's like, what? We didn't really talk about anything terrible, really, and
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so Last of Us 2, I think, is going to be a great game. Yeah, I don't know. I think, like, those games are just really speaking to me. Nothing really on Xbox. Like, Sea of Thieves looks like fun, but it's not my kind of game.
Yeah, I feel like that's the type of game that, definitely appeals to a younger crowd who it's like, they're going to have like a LAN party all weekend long or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or LAN party, I guess,
Quote,
in quotes,
yeah.
because LAN doesn't
Yeah,
really
those young
exist
people,
anymore.
they're really known for those LAN parties. They do that all the time. They know what that is, even.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely seems like a game that you have to, get a group of people together and really just like go at it for a few hours, and that's hard to do when you're an adult.
Yeah.
Everyone's busy, and yeah. But yeah, so basically that is probably what I'm most excited about, and I'm probably never going to play it. I am every day closer and closer to buying a PS4, but I just actually commented on our last podcast and said that, as much as I want to, there's still some great games on Xbox and PC that I just haven't played either, so might as well get those out of the way first before plopping down $400 on a console.
You mean like pretty much anything that Bethesda's done in the last few years?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, there was a sale recently, and I was able to pick up the first Evil Within for $5.
Nice.
And I was like, you know, I played it through GameFly, and I returned it pretty quickly because it wasn't quite what I was expecting. But like now that I know what to expect, I think I might actually enjoy it more. And so, you know, I picked it up. I mean, it was $5, and so that's now sitting at the bottom of the pile in front of my television. And it wasn't until I got home and added it to the pile that I was like, damn it, this is another Bethesda game. Because literally that pile, every single game in there is made by or published by Bethesda.
Jeez.
Because it's, let's see, it's Doom, Prey, Dishonored, Death of the Outsider, Wolfenstein 2, and then Evil Within 1.
Seems like you're their target market, Ben.
Yeah, apparently. Well, I mean, did you see the, and this is where we get off topic. This is the off-topic part of the podcast.
What?
Did you see, during the VGAs, their, like, Save Player 1, video?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you have to, I'll have to look it up and send it to you when we're done with this, but it's basically like this, like parody video almost, where it's talking about how, like, you know, we need to save single player games and everything. And it's talking, you know, it starts out like, you know, do you ever feel, you know, like left out and alone, you know, when compared to your multiplayer counterparts or whatever? And it's just like this one kid sitting there watching two other people like play the same game, and he's like pouting. And it's just, it was really funny and really well done. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's honestly, like, that is what Bethesda's doing. Like, they're really one of the only companies that puts out solid single player experiences anymore. I mean, obviously there are others, but they are
Very consistent and
consistent and
quality and
everything. But anyways, so you're excited for the PlayStation stuff. One thing that I'm excited to see how it does, that I'm probably not going to pick up, at least not anytime near release, and I'm probably just going to pick it up on sale at some point, is Crackdown 3.
Shit, that is coming out, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, maybe. I mean, if they delay it again, it won't be, but...
Sure. They announced that a long time ago.
Yeah, they announced it back in, like, 2015?
Yeah.
2014, something like that.
For some reason, in my mind, it was out.
Well, it was supposed to be out. It was supposed to come out on the launch day of the Xbox One X, but then they delayed it again. At this point, like, I'm kind of in the camp of, like, I don't care anymore. Like, you announced it so long ago that my interest has dwindled to beyond nothing. And I'm just curious as to how that's going to play out. I imagine it's going to be like a huge flop, and then Microsoft is going to be like, well, this is why we can't do single-player games anymore. Even if it's Crackdown, it does poorly. And it's like, no, it did poorly because you announced it 4 years ago.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I don't know if you can, like, ever look at Crackdown as, like, this is a tentpole franchise that proves single-player games don't work. Because it's a very, like, niche game. As far as like AAA title goes,
yeah,
right? Like,
but I mean, they've always kind of treated it that way, because even though it has co-op, like, as far as I know, that's not really like the main draw. And the majority of people probably don't play co-op, but it's always felt to me like Microsoft has treated it as their, like, flagpole single-player franchise. Because they can't really do that with Halo or Gears of War, because those have such massive multiplayer followings. And I don't know necessarily that there's any other franchise really that is Xbox One or Xbox exclusive, rather.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, even like Tomb Raider, like, is still multiplat. They had the exclusivity with Rise of the Tomb Raider for a while.
Excuse you, Ben. They had Quantum Break.
Oh,
Thank you.
right. Yeah, that game.
Yeah. Microsoft really, like, and this is what I've been saying for a couple of years now, like, Microsoft has, like, the best multiplayer games. PS4 has the best single player games.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, like,
But I mean, realistically, when it comes, like, if you're going to look at pure numbers, Microsoft doesn't even really have the multiplayer aspect down.
yeah, not so much anymore.
Just because, I mean, any of, like, the super popular multiplayer games are multi-plat, and PlayStation gets them as well, so...
I mean, I'm thinking about, like, in terms of, like, esports numbers as well, like, because I feel like that's a good gauge of how well the game itself is doing.
Yeah,
because
but
you're not going to invest a lot of money in esports. Sure, I mean, obviously Overwatch is both, but, like,
yeah,
Halo still has, I forget what their season pool is, but, like, I know Gears of War Season 2 is at $2 million prize pool.
yeah,
And that doesn't count, venue costs and production costs and everything.
yeah.
So, I mean, like, they're doing well. And, like, I don't know anything about the Halo stuff. Like, I know that they're also up there in the millions for their prize pool and everything. But
yeah.
I don't know. I still think that, like, I mean, Last of Us had a good multiplayer, and Uncharted has a multiplayer that people find fun, but I don't think people get invested in those multiplayers as much as other games.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably fair.
Which is not a knock on anyone. I want both of them to work on entering the other space.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing for single player, at least, is just simply that, like, Microsoft doesn't really have any exclusives anymore.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, whether you want to look at it as a, PC counts or it doesn't count in the exclusivity factor, like, that aside, like, they have Halo and Gears of War, and that's about it. And
Yeah.
those aren't really, like, those aren't console sellers anymore. Not like they used to be.
Yeah.
And I don't know. They're struggling pretty hard. And honestly, like, if 2018 E3 comes and goes and they don't have, like, a fucking convoy of exclusives and, like, real exclusives, not like, oh, it launches here first and then you can go buy it on PlayStation later, and not indie games. I don't really know what's, like, I honestly don't, I that would be a very bad thing for Microsoft. Like, because, I mean, not that their sales numbers have been bad necessarily. Like, they're still great in comparison to previous generations, but when you compare it to Sony and their PlayStation 4, like, you can't help but be like, y'all are having a whole lot of trouble, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, the way I kind of see it is, like, it's similar to the Marvel versus DC kind of thing. I feel like Xbox is in the DC camp, where Sony sort of, like, they've treated their franchises better. So people still love them when they come out, and it also allows them to bring out new stuff without risk of just, like, completely destroying their thing. Like, I feel like if Microsoft invested, $100 million in making a great new IP, it has less of a chance of succeeding than if Sony did that.
Sure. But I mean, I also, I don't know that it's necessarily that Sony treated their IPs better as much as it is that they're willing to take a risk on a new IP. Because, I mean, realistically, like, when you think about the IPs that Sony has had for a long time, like, they've clearly given up on Killzone. Like,
well, I mean, that failed.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it failed, and then they were like, okay, you know, it's done. Like, we are no longer going to do this. And they went off and did other things, and they also don't beat them to death. Like, you know, The Last of Us 2 is just now coming out, and that was a PlayStation 3 game. And
yeah, but I would say that that's them treating them well.
Sure. Like, but I mean, you know, my point is that, like, anytime there is a potential for a console exclusive, it feels like Microsoft forces it almost.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't work out absolutely flawlessly to their vision, then they cancel it.
Yeah.
And because I mean, I was not excited for Scalebound in the slightest, but I know a lot of people were, and the fact that they went and canceled it was kind of a big deal. And regardless of the reasoning for that, you know, I've heard plenty of rumors about how, you know, it just wasn't running well and all this kind of stuff, which, I mean, you know, that's fine, but there are ways around that kind of thing. Like, you know, even if it means shipping the game at a lower resolution, or, you know, scaling back on texture resolution or something, like, you know, there are ways to do it. There are, you know, they're obviously not ideal, but there are ways to do it. And that was really like the last console exclusive that I can think that got a lot of people excited. I mean, there was technically Cuphead, which was a success in and of itself, but I feel like it's kind of as niche as what Dark Souls is. You know, it's a very difficult platformer game in 2D, and that's very niche, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it was... I think it was popular enough to not be niche. It's hard to say, though.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like that was
I get what you're
primarily
saying. Like,
because
it's not
of the
like, you know,
aesthetic
the guy
of it,
that's
you know?
doing... It's not the guy that's not playing Call of... The guy who's playing Call of Duty is not going like, ooh, I want Cuphead.
Yeah. And honestly, Call of Duty is another thing. The fact that they lost, like, the deal that they had for Call of Duty for so many years is a big deal. And, like, I feel like Microsoft keeps losing things and, like, making these mistakes, and then they do nothing to make up for it.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of disappointing. And, you know, I mean, we're getting on to, what is it, year 6 of this console generation, I think? No.
No.
Well, like, 2018 will be year 6, like, in November, I think.
Yeah.
That's when it's 6 years. Because when did these come out? Was it
2013?
I think... Yeah, it would have had to have been 2013, I think.
Or so it'll be year 5.
Well, we're in year 5. It turns 6 in November of 2018.
No, because this would be year 4. 2013, 2017.
I can math.
2 plus 2 is 4. Minus 1 is 3. That's quick maths. Have you seen that video?
No.
Oh, I have to show it to you.
Yeah, okay, so it was released on the 22nd of 2013. Alright, so it's going to be turning 5, which means we're starting to approach that point where it would make sense for a new console generation. But the Xbox One X did just come out, so I kind of doubt that's going to be a thing.
The Xbox 2. lower power than the Xbox One X. Try to justify that one.
I don't even want to think about
that. We got really off topic there.
We did. That's okay.
But speaking of Xbox exclusives, we haven't had a Halo game for 2 years now. So chances are we're seeing something in 2018. Yep.
Are you sure?
Because it was Halo, and then Gears came out last year, and then nothing this year.
Huh.
It has been 2 years.
It feels like much longer than that.
Yeah.
Holy cow! All right, yeah. So I don't know. I guess like we're aiming, or we're excited about the possibility of a Halo 6.
Really, just hoping. Like, okay, so here's kind of like my thoughts on the Halo franchise right now. Halo 4, a solid story. Kind of like shitty multiplayer. Or shitty gameplay. Just wasn't a fan. Halo 5, story was kind of shitty. Gameplay was much better.
Yeah.
I kind of want them to like just kind of meet in the middle. Have a good story, good gameplay.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Halo 5's story wasn't as good as what a lot of people were looking for because it relied too much on not game lore. You know,
Sure.
because like for me, it was a great story, but that's because, you know, it's like I've read the graphic novels, you know, I read all the, you know, paperback books and everything like that, and I had a blast, but I can totally see how not knowing all of that extra information would make it boring, because half of the stuff that the characters talk about is just uninteresting at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't never latched on to Locke and his crew, and I felt like,
yeah, there's that too.
And they were there, and it wasn't like half and half. It was like 90% Locke, and yeah, I don't know. It's well documented that I was not a fan.
Yeah, I'm curious what their justification was for making Locke be such a jerk, to put it lightly. Because, I mean, it just seems
even in
like,
Nightfall, he was a jerk, which was like the live action thing.
Yeah, lead up or whatever. Yeah.
We watched that together, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, that was bad.
Yeah, I want to know like how they expected him to be received as a character.
Yeah.
Because you're taking this guy that is so, you know, just like such a sharp contrast to the hero that you've built over the last decade, and you're like, yeah, this will be fine.
So I think there's two things. I think that it's fairly clear to me that like somewhere in the process there was a rewrite of how things were going to be done. So maybe something got lost in translation there. And then two, did you ever go back and play it solo?
No, I started to, and then other games came out and I stopped caring.
Yeah. Apparently, like, we missed out on a lot of dialogue because we played it with 4 people.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
So maybe somewhere in there, like, there's like a good introduction to those characters. But yeah, no, the biggest thing for me was that the whole point of his character was to chase Chief and bring him back. But everyone loves Chief, and there was no reason to care about this guy's motivations. And I've said it before, but like I wanted Chief's actions to actually impact Spartan Locke, so that like he had a personal reason to do it, and that would have made everything infinitely better.
Not only that, but I feel like with Chief's relationship with the UNSC as a whole throughout all of the games has always been kind of rocky. So I don't know why they ever really thought that people would connect with the authority that he's never gotten along with. Because I mean, like even in Halo 3 and Halo 4, like, you know, he had moments where he was butting heads with leadership, and so like as fans of the franchise, you know, we're used to him basically, you know, going like fuck the authority.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be on his side. And then when it happens again, we're like, okay, yeah, this is normal. But then like we have to play the person that goes after him. Like that's just gonna be a bad time. Now if like Chief had like murdered a bunch of like random UNSC people will stolen a pelican and then flown off.
Or, like kind of like what happened in Hunt the Truth? Kind of? Like,
yeah.
Not that he did, but like that there was actually like a controversy, which...
Yeah, where
what?
like, supposedly he killed a bunch of people. And yeah, honestly, like kind of going on to Hunt the Truth, and now that we're way off topic again.
What? No.
I'm so disappointed that Hunt the Truth literally had no bearing on anything inside the game. And I can understand because, like, you don't want to make that, like, a prerequisite to the actual game. Like, you don't want to have to be like, well, if you didn't listen to Hunt the Truth and you don't know what's going on, I get that. But there wasn't even, like, a mentioning of the things that happened in Hunt the Truth.
Well, Ben, hold on. There was, actually.
Are you sure?
Yeah. So this is going to be a spoiler alert for Hunt the Truth and Halo 5. In the end, when Cortana is calling all the AI, the AI from the second season of Hunt the Truth is one of the ones that responds. So, fuck off, Ben.
But that's not, like, it's not mentioned. That's just like a coincidence / an Easter egg at best.
I know. Yeah, it was a rough one. Like, because the story in Hunt the Truth was so fucking good.
It was so compelling.
I was like when I first heard about it, I was like,
And then you listen to it after. I was like, no, dude, you have to listen to this.
you finished like episode 3 and you're like, dude, listen to this. And I'm like, fine, I'm not doing anything with my life right now, so I'll listen to it. Then I listened to it and I got through episode 3 and I was like, I want the next one. Oh man, it was so good.
It was. And it's disappointing that it didn't actually lead to anything, because like I was hoping that the reason that Spartan
that was chasing Master Chief was because of that.
Yeah, right.
But
because
then you kind of felt weird about it
in this controversy, and then like they would meet up and they'd be like, no, this is what actually happened, and then be like, oh, what's going on? Like, conspiracy.
I got really worried when they kind of cleared Chief's name at the end of the first season of Hunt the Truth. I was like, so what's happening in the game?
Yeah.
Like, either this spoiled the end of the game, or this has nothing to do with the game.
Yeah.
But it kind of, like, I had some hope.
Yeah. I don't know.
What a...
Was there anything else that you were excited about?
I'm personally, like, super excited for Metro Exodus. I don't know about you, but you probably don't care.
I mean, of course I am. I feel like you having to even ask about that is
Ben,
just plain silly.
the point. That was the point of the joke.
Okay.
Thanks for playing along. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of hoping that like someone surprises us with something.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Like, hey, this is coming out in a couple months. Hold on to your butts.
See, there's a small part of me, like in my heart of hearts, that is like holding on to a sliver of hope that that's what Bethesda's going to do with the Elder Scrolls 6. Kind of like what they did with Fallout 4. Because like nobody really knew that it was coming out. And then all of a sudden they were just like, boom, here it is. And I know that there were like info leaks prior to Fallout 4 being announced and everything. But they were info leaks that were there in such a way as to allude to simply that it was being made, not that it was about to be released. And then I know that on one of those leaks there was like a list of other games they were working on, and all of them had either like shipping names or names that you could be like, oh, this is obviously this other game. And then there was one that was I forget exactly what it was called, but it was basically kind of like, this is probably Elder Scrolls 6. And I want it to be a thing so bad, because it has been so fucking long since we've had an Elder Scrolls game.
I still think that it's going to be like they're going to release Skyrim in some other version. I think Skyrim VR still has to come out, and they're going to be like, okay, it's still selling well. We can do it one more time. And then
no, because I don't know if you realized it, but come November of next year, it will have been 7 years since we had an Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we should have had at least one, if not almost two, by that point. Because I don't know if you realize it, but there's Morrowind and then the expansions. But in between the main releases of Morrowind and Oblivion was like 3 years. And then between Oblivion and Skyrim, it was like 4 or 5 years. So, like, we're well beyond the point of, like, when they should have released another one. And, you know, according to Todd Howard, like, you know, he's like, yeah, we haven't even really started on it yet. Like, the fuck are you guys doing?
Printing money, man.
They need to stop. They can print more money by making this game.
But, I mean, they're printing money right now with the games they have made. Like, they're fine. They're good. They're so good right now. Anyway, yeah, I think that'll wrap up this one. We went off topic, talked about like 3 or 4 games that we're excited about, and ranted about Microsoft and whatever they're doing wrong. So,
yeah,
let us know what you guys are excited about coming up this year. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to E3. I think that they're gonna blow us away with something. Everyone is gonna blow us away with something.
I hope so. Better be fucking Elder Scrolls 6 or something. Not that I exactly have the time for that
Ben's
kind of game.
Ben's gonna be very upset if there's no Elder Scrolls announcement, no matter what. He's gonna be very grumpy.
Yeah.
And not happy about anything. He's not even gonna play anything unless it's Elder Scrolls 6.
That's not true.
Anyway, we will see you guys next time on Split Couch Games.
Bye.
Bye.